Hi, welcome to Words of This Life podcast. My name is Pablo, and here we share real and impactful Christian stories from believers who love the Lord and His Word. Through these testimonies, we want to showcase the virtues of the one who's called us out of darkness into His marvelous light. Virtues that are at work in everyday people, shaping their character, guiding their actions, and shining forth His life into the world. We're so happy you're here with us for this episode, and let's get right into it.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Words of This Life podcast. I'm your host, Aya, with my co-host.
Pablo?
And today we have one of the bros coming on, Mr. Ian Diller.
How's it going?
How's it going?
I got a
bro?
mister now.
Yeah.
Man, you're making me really feel old.
Mr. Ian.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
to have you.
Oh, yeah.
Good to have
Happy
you,
to be
bro.
here.
Yeah,
Thanks for having
it's
me.
great.
So how about you just introduce yourself a little bit and let the audience know who you are, what you do?
Yeah, for sure. So, like you mentioned, my name's Ian. This is actually my second time on the show. If
Yeah.
you've seen an earlier episode, but my video footage got lost. So,
That's great.
all things are sovereign. So, it was another opportunity.
That was a great conversation.
Yeah, it was great. Enjoyed it, but always happy to come back on. Who am I? What do I do? I'm a pretty normal guy. I'm working full time in tech here in Austin. I've been in that position for about a year now, but I've done a number of different things. And I guess the reason they let me on this show is that I'm a Christian and I love the Lord and like to talk to these guys.
Yeah, great. I would say there's a lot about you that's more than normal. You got Christ in you, and I'm
Mhm.
excited to hear about the experiences of throughout your life. I know you've done some traveling, you've done some mission trips, and I'm just excited to hear. I was looking forward to this conversation like this whole day, honestly. So
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
me too.
I'm excited. Where should we begin?
Well, I
Take
know
it
you.
back?
Yeah, let's take it back, man. I know, first of all, I know you're a man of many talents and many interests. We're going to get into all of that.
Yeah.
But how about you just take us back to where it all began? What kind of household did you grow up in? What kind of family did you grow up in? And
That's good.
when did you even meet the Lord? What
Oh
was-
yeah. So I was fortunate to grow up in a Christian household, which I think a lot of people, like me, tend to take for granted because they like to have this dynamic testimony. But it's not a small thing to grow up with Christian parents who love the Lord.
Mhm.
So yeah, I was born when my dad was in grad school, and we lived in New England at the time. And then my dad got a job on the East Coast, and we moved there. And then eventually we moved here to Austin because we had some family around here. So I've been here since 2006, and grew up starting off homeschooled actually, and then from there got was like solid homeschooled for a few years, and then after before too long we got involved in like local homeschool groups, and there's a lot of kind of resources for like homeschooling families and Christian homeschool families where you kind of go take classes one day a week, and you go home and have homework for the rest of the week. So I was in some kind of either like a 1 day a week or a 3 day a week or online classes or something, starting from middle school all the way on up through high school, which I think had its ups and downs, but I think was kind of what I needed as a kid that would not have been able to sit still at all in a traditional classroom, and kind of gave me a lot of flexibility. Like my mom was really good about taking us to whatever, like the nature center or on a day trip or something during the week. And I kind of got started like learning how to get into having a landscaping business with having the flexibility on weekends. So that was cool.
Mhm.
And then eventually went to college, and then graduated, and now I'm working. But then as far as when did I meet the Lord, my parents shared the gospel with me when I was pretty young. I'm told it happened when I was 4. I don't have any
Oh wow.
memory of it, but yeah, they shared the gospel with me, and I prayed to get saved. But I don't know how much a 4-year-old can really understand, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So I think when I kind of came into some more comprehension of the gospel was when I was 10, I went to this summer camp, um, and it was a pretty classic summer camp of, when you think of summer camp, this is what it is. They had like swimming and horseback riding and archery and camp games and that kind of thing. Um, and I ended up actually going there many years and working there later on. But I remember we would kind of do worship times every day there. And then in the evening, the counselors would kind of lead the kids in the cabin through like a Bible study. And that was really impactful to me. And I remember really enjoying the singing times there and just the worship songs they would play. And I remember hearing the gospel presented to me really clearly. And I was a little bit older and able to comprehend a little bit more. So on the car ride home after my parents picked me up, I remember thinking like, okay, Lord, if I wasn't saved before, come in and I place my trust in you now. And I don't know, something happened with the Lord there. I remember thinking even like, it's kind of like the colors are brighter, and it was kind of like I've been looking through a dusty window and it had been wiped clean. So that was sort of when I think I understood the gospel a little bit more. And then it was a couple years later at a day camp my church was doing where I learned about baptism, and I got baptized that summer right before I turned 12. It was in actually somebody's backyard pool, and that pool had not been cleaned in a long time. So it was solid, bright green. You could not see into that thing. You're walking down in there, and they baptize you in, and you don't know if you can come back up.
Wow, almost a real burial there. Like for rich.
Yeah.
Something like safety hazard.
So that was kind of my next milestone. And in high school, I continue to be involved in like youth group and summer camps and stuff. And I think a lot of kids that grow up in Christian families, maybe high school is the time when they experiment a little bit more and kind of drift off and try different things. But for whatever reason, maybe it's just the way I was wired or the environment I was in, or honestly, probably just the Lord's mercy, I didn't really stray off too far. I always kind of in high school had some desire to keep seeking the Lord and keep reading my Bible. But I feel like I didn't have that many friends my age that I felt like I could really relate to who were interested in, pursuing as a Christian. So I didn't really have an experience of having like other guys that I could really connect with and pursue the Lord together.
Yeah, that's a big deal for a young person to have friends.
For sure. I mean, friends are everything.
Yeah,
right, when you're growing
absolutely.
up. So I think it was ultimately when I went to college and got into college ministry when things changed a lot. And actually kind of my gateway point into that was I took a year off after high school, and I was just kind of taking part-time community college classes and working at a landscaping company and doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And there was this guy at my church who served with youth ministry. He's a couple years older than me, so he was in college and I was in high school. And one time, like right at the end of my high school senior year, he said, "Hey, Ian, you want to come to my Monday night small group?" And normally I had something going on that on Mondays, but I had a free night that week. So I said, okay, yeah, I'll come. And I showed up, and I think my experience going to like youth groups and Bible studies for my whole life, and I don't know, maybe other people can relate to this, had been you show up there and everyone's there usually because their parents dropped them off. So, whoever's leading it will ask a question and it'll just be like this long, awkward pause. And then eventually I would just answer the question because the silence made me so uncomfortable. People were pretty checked out. Or if there were people who were really engaged, like maybe they were a little too engaged. Sometimes I felt like, I just can't relate with some of these people. It just, I never had that experience of like both people that I want to be friends with and relate to, and who are also really engaged with the Lord. So fast forward to this like college small group that I got invited to. I show up, and the way it was structured is we would have like dinner together, and then there was going to be like a little worship time, and then we'd read the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
So I showed up, and it's mostly college guys there.
Mm.
And I just remember being so taken aback because they're having fun. Like, these are normal, like, cool and funny guys, and they're like throwing dinner rolls across the table, and like laughing and cracking jokes. But when the time comes to get out the Bible and read, they're actually interested and engaged, and there's not this long awkward pause.
Yeah.
Like, they have something to say about it. And I just remember having this realization of like, whoa, okay, these guys are not here because their parents dropped them off. They're here because they took time out of their schedule,
Wow.
because they're making their own schedule now. And I want to keep coming to this.
Mm.
And, you know, they were like my age too, or like a year or two older. So it felt like they were, you know, similar age peers that I could relate with.
Mm-hmm.
So I kept going throughout my gap year. And I mean, that was at that was here in Austin, and then that ultimately ended up affecting my decision to go University of Texas. I originally was going to go somewhere else out of state, and then I kind of kept going to that small group, and through that got involved in college ministry and felt really connected to the community there, and I just felt like I have to stay involved in this. So yeah, I ended up going to UT, Hook 'em Horns, and Iowa and I actually overlapped for a couple of years.
Okay.
So yeah, I still go to that small group now. Actually,
That same Monday night.
Yeah, same Monday night.
Wow. Okay.
But I think anyway, just if I can take away anything from that, you know, remember anyone who, you know, if you're college age or in your 20s, the high schoolers are looking up to you.
Yeah.
You're so
absolutely.
cool to them.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you can really make an impression on them. So that guy that I thought was really cool, he invited me to his small group, and that was a little stepping stone on a huge turning point in my Christian journey. And you know, it had ripple effects that are still being felt to this day. So
Wow.
yeah, pay attention to if there are high school kids in your life who you have a care for, or you want to develop a care for, like, pay attention to them.
Yeah.
Because they're listening probably more than you think they are, even if they don't show it.
Yeah.
And it can really make a difference for them to see people who they can relate to and look
Yeah.
up to, who are choosing the Lord on their own.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I love how you said that, because like you said, high schoolers, they need that group just older than them, just a bit older than them, to take care of them.
Yeah.
It's not like their parents can, at that age, you know, it's kind of sensitive. But I did want to ask you, I want to go back to your high school years. You know, I feel like there's a lot of kids that probably have a similar experience with you. They don't go to public school, or they're not into all the bad things that their friends are doing. And they might feel like they don't fit in anywhere. And even in their Christian life, they feel like they don't fit in. But somehow the Lord preserved you, and you're still here. But do you have anything of encouragement or advice to kids that had a similar teenage experience as you?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think I've kind of dealt with this my whole life, of just like not feeling like I fit in anywhere. But it was especially strong during middle school and high school. Of just this feeling of like it was hard to relate to what other kids were talking about. I mean, I had friends in high school that I felt like really comfortable with. But yeah, I think I took a long time to develop socially. So I guess what I would tell other kids is, you know, you're going to make it. It feels so severe in middle school and high school. That's when just everything social is the end of the world, or not.
Yeah.
You're going to make it. You know, as you become an adult, you will develop into the person that, you know, God wants you to be. But the other thing I'd say is just like try new things, you know, pick up a new skill, or try something new, or talk to a new person. And if you put yourself out there, especially with things like sports and hobbies, that'll give you a lot of confidence, and it'll give you more opportunities to kind of figure out what are your likes and dislikes, and, you know, get some foundation under you. But as far as your walk with the Lord too, I would say one of the best things I've ever prayed is, Lord, give me companions.
Wow.
And by companions, I know that's not a word we use all the time. I just mean friends that you can pursue the Lord with.
Yeah.
I remember a specific point in my life where I was talking to somebody and they said you should pray for companions because that's a prayer the Lord loves to answer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, I will. And I prayed that prayer, and like within months, I got some really close buddies. I think this was right before I started college.
Mm-hmm.
I met some guys that I'm still friends with to this day. I ended up being a groomsman in one of their weddings
Mm.
that
awesome.
I could relate with, felt at home with, and loved the Lord.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. You know, one thing I'm taking away from your testimony so far is that when you walked into that Monday night dinner for the first time, the dinner rolls are being thrown around the table.
Yeah.
And then they bring out the Bible, and the pursuit of those brothers just impressed you, right? And I like what you mentioned, that they weren't there because their parents dropped them off.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just thinking, that's true. Our pursuit of Christ is contagious, you know? Like when someone pursues, you just feel like you want to pursue as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to ask you, who's been the most influential person in terms of their pursuit of Christ, wanted you to pursue Christ? I mean, even from that point on, or even before that, I don't know if it's a parent, a relative, but is there someone whose pursuit of Christ has been kind of an example or an encouragement for you to pursue? I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, there's so many examples I could think of. I mean, from the start, having parents as role models, like it matters. And that goes without saying. And, you know, I don't take them for granted.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as maybe people in other categories, actually, the friend that I have now, who is I think the longest running friend in my entire life. Some of you guys might know him. His name's Isaac.
That's true.
And yeah, of the people I'm still friends with now, I think he's the person I've known the longest.
Wow.
And he just has this like insanely infectious like love of the Lord. Like you get around him, anyone that's around him like will know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Just
It's good to know a
like,
person like
yeah,
that.
he just loves the Lord, and it's like flowing out.
He's
of
a
him
walking
constantly.
Bible.
Yeah, he is a walking Bible, and he's like
throwing up
recorded
his-
all these
Wow.
songs, and like always has his ukulele on him, and it's just like it has this really energetic attitude, and it's like impossible to. Anyway, it's impossible not for it to be infectious.
Yeah.
It's good. Wow.
But I think maybe another example I could give, and this is not one person, but I always get really touched by stories of martyrs,
Mm.
like people that have been killed for their faith.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, just yesterday, I have to be on LinkedIn a lot for my job,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just scrolling my LinkedIn feed, and I'm just kind of scrolling through it, you know how social media feeds go.
Mm-hmm.
And I just stopped in my tracks because I saw there was this post that somebody I knew had liked or reshared or something. And it was this post about these 3 Christians who had been killed for their faith by ISIS in 2015 in Libya. And I don't have a long attention span. You know, we live in the attention economy.
Yeah.
But I could not get myself to stop looking at that post for like 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It was, and it's not normally the kind of thing you see on LinkedIn, but it was just this illustration of the faces of these 3 guys who had been killed on a beach for their faith. And their last words were crying out to the Lord.
Mm.
And it made me get a little teary eyed too.
Wow.
Just stories of people like that who just have such a real faith.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really touch me. I mean, and church history is filled with examples of this.
Yeah.
You know, if you go to the Gutenberg Museum in Mainz, Germany, where I went a couple of years ago, there's this whole illustration you can see. It's like on a tapestry or something, showing the ways that the early Christians were killed by the Roman Empire.
Mm.
And it is so touching. And we think about it now as 21st century American people living in the Bible Belt, and we're scared to talk about Jesus to our coworkers,
Yeah.
or to like mention, you know, that we go to church or whatever. And I'll see things like this, people who have even in recent years been beheaded or throughout these centuries of church history, um, died for their faith. And I just think, like, what am I doing? What am I scared of?
Yeah.
And it really, it's very inspiring.
Yeah.
In your downtime, do you just like research like martyrs in church history? Like, are there's
I wish I used my downtime that productively. No, I would like to more. I don't know. There's a book called Fox's Book of Martyrs that a couple people have
That's a good one.
mentioned that I'd love to read at some point.
Mhm.
But I haven't like dived super deep into it. But whenever I do hear stories, like I've read different things like throughout my life, different like biographies and testimonies,
Mhm.
that have come up. Nothing really in like the last couple years. So yeah, I don't have any crazy recommendations for you.
I still need to read Fox's Book of Martyrs
Yeah.
too, because I've heard that book was amazing. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's wonderful. Just
Mm-hmm.
I saw a similar animation on YouTube. I forget the number. I don't know if it was 21 martyrs or 31 martyrs, but it was the same thing. Group of Christians that were killed by a terrorist group, and it just made me feel the same way. Like, what am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
like what am like? I need to
Yeah.
proclaim this name. People are dying for this name, and I'm,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah,
I think it was 7,000 or 8,000 in like Nigeria alone last year.
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
When we see things like this, or when we go places and we see how Christians like pay a price to gather, pay a price to travel, pay a price to just
Pay a price to even read the Bible.
Yeah.
To have a Bible. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It really puts things into perspective about how we have it here,
Right.
Since you brought up church history, I wanted to ask you, and you brought up Europe and Germany. You've been to Europe a few times, right? For the sake of either a mission trip or a church history trip. Is that right?
Yeah. So I lived there for a year when I was younger,
lived,
just because
okay.
my dad's work. And then I ended up going back on my own because a good friend of mine went over there a few summers ago after the Ukrainian war broke out, and he was kind of in between jobs, and an opportunity came up to go volunteer with Ukrainian refugees, like kind of like resettling them.
Yeah.
So he went for a few months and had this great experience. And that was the summer before either sophomore or either junior or senior year of college. But anyway, the point is he wanted to go back at one point and just go see Germany again because he was helping resell them in Germany. And I was really getting the travel bug by that point in my senior year of college. And I told him, hey, let's just go. Let's go back. I'll go with you. And I also knew some people who had gone over to live there as missionaries too. So I figured let's just go visit them like while we're over there. So we hit like 7 cities in 10 days or something. We had a really fast trip. But yeah, we had a great time. And that's when we went and saw the Gutenberg Museum. And that was during my senior year of college. And something I just struggled with a lot in my senior year of college was like, am I really just going to transition right into the workforce and, be working a 9 to 5? Like I felt like I had to go do something.
Yeah.
And what was it going to be? I had a million different things that I thought about. But I wanted to go do something after school. And eventually what that trip helped make clear to me was I wanted to go back and spend a few months over there because I reconnected with some of the people I knew who had gone over there as missionaries, and they were telling me a little bit about what they were doing, working with Germans. And what's interesting is, we don't really think of like Germany or Europe as a typical mission field.
That's right.
People usually think about like, the Amazon jungle
Yeah.
or Africa or places like that. But actually, Christianity is spreading really fast in a lot of those places that we kind of more typically think about. But Europe is a very post-God region of the world.
Absolutely.
It's very secular. It has a Christian history, but people are largely pretty atheist there now.
Yeah.
So there's a real need for people to go spread the gospel there. So I was talking with those people that I knew that had gone over there, and there was just this growing sense in me like, well, maybe you should come back over here and work with them. So I sat on it, prayed about it for a few weeks, and I still wanted to go do it. So the summer after I graduated college, I just got a remote job for a marketing agency, and then took off for 3 months out of one suitcase and one backpack and hopped around to various places in Europe. But yeah, I worked with some of those missionary friends and got involved in some of what they were doing, and did a little solo traveling, and it ended up being an awesome experience.
Wow.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's kind of what you're alluding to, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get into it. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
what were the things that you got into that your friends were in? Like, yeah.
Yeah, so I knew some people who were connected with a team that was doing a lot of outreach in France during the Olympic Games, because there was going to be people from all over gathered during that time.
Yeah.
So I went with one team to initially just like contact people, and we were like passing out Bibles and material and just getting people who were interested in like either learning about like what is the Bible, or maybe were already Christians and wanted to like dive in more and get connected to fellowship. And that was just sort of initial outreach. In marketing terms, top of funnel phase. It's in me now. And then I went on a second trip in another French city, and it was like a follow-up trip. And that was where I was with a team that was like following up on a list of people that had been met by one of those initial teams. So we've got all these contacts now. These people are interested. We're going to follow up with them. And that was a super interesting time, because we rented out this Airbnb, and we would just like cook this dinner every night and invite all those, we would send out invites to everyone on our list, and we just never knew what we were going to get.
Yeah.
Wow.
Every night it would be, some days you'd have 3 people show up, some days you would have 10 people show up. And
It's amazing.
who are they? What languages do they speak? Do they understand any English?
Yeah.
Do they like, what is their cultural and religious background? What do they know about the Bible? Have we met them before? Is it their first time or their 5th time? So we basically had, over the course of dinner, to kind of get a read on all that. And then when we moved over to the couches, like, what are we going to study with these people? Because, like a lot of these people, they're interested, but we're trying to figure out like, where can we take them next?
Yeah.
As far as getting into the Bible and the truth, like to kind of help equip them and advance them in their walk with the Lord.
Yeah.
What city in France was that at?
What's that?
Which city?
It was Toulouse, France.
Toulouse.
Yeah, I'd never even heard of it until I went there.
Yeah, I've been there.
Oh, you have?
Yes.
You're kidding? It's great. It's
a great
very
city.
picturesque.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's what you think of when you think of a French city, but it's not as like big and overwhelming.
That's
as
right.
Paris.
But it's got all the French like feel
Yeah,
to
it's
it.
got the
That's
French
awesome. Toulouse. It's great. Where you're gonna.
Yeah. Was there any person that you met that, like, that just meeting them was an experience and it's stuck with you even now, that you can like let us in on?
Yeah, for sure. There's one guy. I mean, I won't go into too much detail about this, but oh man, he he was a character. I mean, he was like extremely, extremely French, and, in great ways. And he wanted to come hang out with us, but he had a lot of just like cultural baggage in him when it came to topics on the Bible and religion. And he was very much like holding on to like his cultural artifacts of what religion was. And but he was really friendly, and he liked to argue. So he would just show up and argue with us for the whole time. So he came over and he spent the whole night arguing, and then he came the next night and continued to argue. And eventually, by like the 3rd or 4th night, me and this other guy that was on my team were sitting with this guy, this French guy, and we had sort of like narrowed in on the topic of baptism.
Mm.
And he was really, really insistent on, that he had been baptized as a baby, and that was good for him. And, we were showing him that in Mark 16:16, it says, believe and be baptized, and you'll be saved. So baptism should come as a next step right after belief. And we were just going back and forth on it. And he was really hung up on just like church tradition. And we were showing him, what do we trust church tradition or the word? And eventually I just saw something kind of click in him, and he softened up and he realized, I think I need to get baptized.
Oh, wow.
So we're like, wow, this guy finally had a change of heart after like 4 days of discussion. And we weren't trying to like, force anything on him. He just was a very like inquisitive and argumentative guy. So we go over and we tell everyone else, hey, this guy's going to get baptized. So we start filling up the bathtub, and we baptized him. I still have it on video. And I just remember like coming out of that, he dried off, and we just started singing some songs. And there was just this like joy that everyone had. Like something in the spiritual realm happened there. Everyone was on fire. We were so happy. And it was just like this amazing release of the Spirit.
Wow.
And I have heard from someone else that's still in touch there that he's doing great and still going on with the Lord and continuing pursuing. So maybe he's happy.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wow.
Almost makes the whole trip there worth it,
Yeah, for
that
sure.
one night.
For sure.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I know so that was 1 year in France, right? Or
It was just 3 months.
3 months. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, your summer. That's right. Have you been again? Because I know you've been to Greece too, right? You've been to.
Yeah, that was
that
actually
another
part
trip?
of the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of did a bunch of different things in that 3-month patch. So while I was over there, I also knew these people that these are some of the missionary friends. They take students. They have like this business they do where they take students who are interested in like learning about the Bible on these like historic church history trips.
That's awesome.
And they have a few different ones that they do, but I basically got to get in on one of those. And we went to Greece, and we're studying like the historic early churches and getting into a lot of like the prophetic meaning of the 7 churches in Revelation. We actually ended up spending time on the island of Patmos, where John wrote Revelation. So that was an amazing trip. When we like went and saw all this history, we spent time in Athens. We went up to Mars Hill, the Acropolis, the Areopagus. We saw the cave where Socrates was thrown in prison. So that was cool because you go and see all these sites that are mentioned in history, and you go see them with your own eyes, and particularly like in this context, things that come up in the Bible. Like, for example, we went and saw the city of ancient Corinth.
Yeah.
And the context you're used to hearing about that in is, Corinthians, right? Every kid who grows up here in the Bible, it's a word that goes in front of a verse reference.
Yeah.
And then you go and show up there, and it's like, oh no, this is an actual place where people lived.
Yeah.
And here's what was going on in this city. And suddenly it's not just a verse that goes in front of a couple numbers, or a word that goes in front of a couple numbers. Like, you learn the story of this place. And then you start to realize, like, when Paul wrote the letter to the people that lived here, like, here are the issues that he was addressing, and here were the needs of these people. So it's just really amazing to get like a hands-on interaction with ancient history.
Yeah.
That's an amazing trip. I feel like everyone should go on a trip like that, just to see the history and see it on the Bible, and then see the history. That probably even impacted the way you read the certain parts of the Bible, right? When you've been to Corinth and then you read Corinthians, it's like, wow.
For sure.
Comes to life. I want to ask you about, you went to Europe for a different, for mission. You did a lot for God there. You baptized someone, and But sometimes these kind of trips, I feel like, is as much as it is about what we do there, is about what God does in us, or what He shows us, of what, revelation of something new about Him. How would you like describe what God did in you, or what was the takeaway from that whole time in Europe and those trips? Is there something that either God showed you, or a prayer, or something that has been a personal kind of takeaway? I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, one thing I think I'll say is that like the Lord really broadened my heart and helped me let go of a lot of things that I maybe like holding on to and struggling with. So, I think we just tend to be really tribalist as people, and like as Christians, we're not exempt from that.
No.
So we get really into like seeing the world through the lens of our local community and local city and local church, and everything should be the way that it is here.
Yeah.
And
Totally agree.
for better or for worse, right?
Yeah.
Like I have a set of things that I like here and a set of problems here, just tied into my little bubble in the world.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes it's really good to just recalibrate yourself by going and traveling outside of your city, outside of your state, outside of the country, to a different culture. And you realize, oh, okay, people in other places, like life is very different.
Yeah.
And a lot of the things that seem like they were big problems in my little bubble, like they don't actually matter that much, and I can let go of them. And I think this is especially important in the Christian life, because in any church community that you're in, you're going to get frustrated with certain things
Sure.
after long enough, because
Absolutely.
you're with the same group of people.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
meant to
And that's
happen.
my community. And like in any family, like your siblings are going to get on your nerves, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
And then you kind of you travel a little bit, and you're just like, you know what? That's just my family, and it's just the things that we do, and like not everyone's like this, but I still love them, and it kind of helps you let go of some of those things.
Yeah.
So I think the Lord used it to kind of broaden me.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing I'll say is that it made me realize, kind of like what we talked about earlier with the martyrs, that
Yeah.
God is a God of purpose, and He really wants to reach people with the gospel. And there's a verse that says, our God who desires all men to be saved and come to the full knowledge of the truth. And I think when we live in comfortable America in the Bible Belt, and surrounded by like thriving church communities, we get a little insulated from that. But you go travel other places, and where life is a little bit less cushy, or that are a lot more atheists and post God, you realize like, oh wow, most of the world is not like this, and there are people who have willingly moved out of comfort and gone to live in these places out of care and out of a heart for what God is doing.
Yeah. Wow.
And I think it just kind of sobers you, and it reminds you that God is a God of purpose.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Two amazing takeaways. I'm really impressed. It broadened your heart, and then this matter of the gospel and having a heart for people.
Yeah.
It's not like people don't travel. People travel all the time. Nowadays, it's like everyone's traveling. But what you did on your trips is that you travel, you see believers, you get to know people, you do, it's great to sightsee and, see the beach, go eat the food. But I feel like, I hope what you said encourages people that whenever you go on a trip, you go a certain place, have a little time to meet some believers, or do something that will make your trip so much more meaningful and deep, So anyways, thanks for sharing that. That's amazing.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for asking.
Yeah.
And I love that you mentioned like it's very easy for Christians in the United States in the Bible Belt to just get satisfied or even dissatisfied with their Christian experience and their local community, and that looking into martyrs throughout history and even going to another country to meet other Christians and going on the gospel and just in a area that's outside of your home is just so healthy. But what I wanted to talk to you about is that trip was centered on church history. So there was some study of, the history of the church post the time of the apostles, and you were able to see those areas where major things in church history happen, but what has studying church history and even experiencing it, what has that done for your Christian life? In addition to meeting other believers in different countries or reading about martyrs, what specifically about church history, if any, has impacted your Christian life?
I think studying church history will teach you not to take what we have for granted. We enjoy a lot as modern Christians, as far as the freedom to practice and the truth that we have, and availability of the Bible. And when you study church history, you realize, wow, people have fought and bled and died and prayed and given themselves to get what we have now. I mean, even right from the start, problems started coming in the church. So they had their early councils to determine, hey, what do we actually believe, right? You know, is Jesus God or is he a man? And, you know, because all these heresies and things were coming in. And then after a few centuries, the Bible got locked up for hundreds and hundreds of years, you know, like called the Dark Ages. And you know, you can only really read it if you read Latin. And then there was this fight to translate it into English just so the commoner could read it, and people were literally killed for that. And then to be able to distribute it, and then to recover certain truths that were in the Bible. I mean, if you even talk about guys like Luther, who recovered this truth that we have, that salvation is by faith and not by works, or not by paying a fee or something like that. So anyway, you could go on. Like, this is a topic you could read endlessly about, but when it sobers you in a way to realize, like, I should not take what I have for granted, and I should take it seriously. And it also, I think it helps contextualize your own journey with Christ, because you realize, hey, this is not just like a, you know, me and my faith, a little hobby, you know, I can kind of believe whatever I want. But you realize, no, I'm actually in the context of generations and generations and generations of people behind me who form the body of Christ. And, you know, it's not just me. This is, I'm part of a larger whole here. And with that comes some, I think, awareness of God having a larger plan.
Yeah, I love how you just put that so perfectly. I was in a Bible study, and we went through the history you just laid out really well. And it just mentioned that all these people, they were running this race. You know, the Christian life is a race, and they were running, and they were expecting that the Lord would come in their time, so they were running really fast, you know. And it's just like the baton was passed from each generation is, and now it's to us. And if you look at the world situation, it's like the Lord will probably come in our time. So like, we need to run this race and you know, preach the gospel for testimony and to all the inhabited earth, and then the end will come. Then the Lord will come back. Like I just feel like I don't know. I'm encouraged by you speaking. Like, we have to run this race. We have to speak what we've seen. And I want to ask, like, what does that look like practically for you in today as a young man? You work in tech. You just, like you said, you're a normal guy, but you have this consciousness of your part to play in this whole thing. How is that lived out in you every day?
Yeah. If I didn't have a sense that I get to be part of a larger story and a larger purpose, then that would be really depressing. Because my life right now is not very exciting. You know, I go to an office, and I mean, granted, it's a nice office and I work with fun people, but I go to my desk and I'm there all day on a computer, kind of doing the same thing every day. And then I come home, and it's occurred to me at several points that if I did not know the Lord, I would think this is what my whole existence is for.
Mm.
I graduated college, went out into the world, and then I'm just kind of at a desk every day doing the same thing over and over. And of course, you know, there's a thought of career progression and figuring out what you do. And it may not always be this monotonous and boring. But I don't know how I wouldn't have a meltdown.
Mm.
But I remember that I can even contact the Lord while I'm working at my desk.
That's awesome.
And my life does not revolve around this. My life is not for this. My life is for God and his eternal purpose. And even my job is in service of that.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as like how do I live, practically speaking, I mean, I think staying plugged into a healthy church community is really important, and developing a church life, I would say. So don't just be a Sunday Christian,
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
but learn to find people that you can live life with.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I talked about a Monday night small group earlier. I still go to that. And that's different than like a Sunday worship environment,
Mm-hmm.
because it's smaller and it's more intimate. And, you know, you're hearing about how each other's day and each other's week went, and, you know, you can pray for each other. And in fact, yeah, I go to a regular group on Wednesday nights too. It's a prayer group, and we'll have a few things that are ahead of time, like, hey, here are the things that we're going to pray for, but also people can bring up things. And it's yeah, I mean, I mentioned on last episode that Carson and I both go there.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember in the group text for that, you know, there were live updates going on of how he was in brain surgery.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's really sweet because it's like this tight-knit prayer group, and it's, hey, you know, we're going to pray for him and his brain surgery. And then there's somebody else in there who's been trying to find a job for months, and we pray for her every week. And it's just different things will come up. And it's really amazing to have that in maybe a smaller and more intimate environment than a Sunday worship time. So I think really developing like a church, a day-to-day church life,
Mm-hmm.
even, you know, finding someone that maybe once a week you call them on the way to work to pray.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's been huge for me.
Mm-hmm.
It can really make a difference.
Wow. That's amazing.
So those are a few ways. And I think just learning to find ways to adapt. I mentioned I was in college ministry, and it's like all fun and games there because, you know, it just feels like it's like one long camp high, right?
Yeah.
They talk about the camp high of like, you know, going to some amazing conference or camp, and you just feel so on fire for the Lord, and then you come back home, and within a few hours you're like, oh, I don't feel so on fire anymore.
Yeah.
Well, if you get really into college ministry, it's kind of like one long camp high, and then you have to go out into the real world,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and you have to put in some legwork
Yeah.
to continue to make your Christian life doable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great point you bring up. We actually talked about in a recent episode the matter of transitioning from a really good college ministry and enjoying being with brothers, right? And then going to the workforce. And
Yeah.
then things change. People are not, inviting you to Bible studies, but you got to put in the legwork. What would you say to someone who's graduating college, going into their first job, getting their first paycheck, and anyway, just being in that environment for you? Have you been able to find coworkers who maybe are believers or able to speak your beliefs at work? Or you mentioned enjoying the Lord at work, which I really like. I mean, I don't know if the listeners know what that is, to enjoy the Lord at work.
Yeah.
But anything that would help someone who's entering this stage of transitioning from a good college ministry to work.
Yeah.
From your experience.
Well, you kind of touched on it earlier, and this is by no means a guarantee, because this could not happen at any and every office, but they're pretty easygoing in my office environment. But I've met a few other guys who are Christians there, and we'll read the Bible once a week. Yeah.
You're reading the Bible with your coworkers.
Yeah. It's like
How'd you find out
five
they were
guys.
believers?
You said 5 guys?
Yeah, there's like 5 of us.
That's a lot.
I'm trying to like think of how I found out. Well, there's one guy who like works right next to me, and he I don't know, we just kind of know each other a little bit through talking, and I found out like pretty early on that he's interested in truth and like reading the Bible and things. And he actually was kind of the driving force on it. He pitched like, hey, do you want to do like a Bible study here? And then I think we had just kind of picked up through the grapevine a few other people through getting to know each other who would be interested. And it's pretty interesting because you have a unique mix there of people who are like solidly established Christians and people who are
You
just
do live in the Bible Belt, man. I
yeah,
can
for sure.
tell.
No, you could
In Boston,
no,
where I live,
yeah.
I don't think that happens.
It's never gonna happen like at a tech office.
I haven't heard a testimony like yours in Boston. Just 5 people.
Yeah, that would not really pass
That's
muster.
amazing though that you have.
Yeah, but it's been cool, and like people just ask really genuine questions. So we have great discussions there. And there are other people that I work with that are not Christians, but I feel like are really on my heart to pray for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I would love to share the gospel with them at some point in some way.
That's amazing.
So that's one way. And yeah, even in those like getting together with people to pray during the week, that's a huge one. Like keeping up regular prayer times.
Yeah.
And even developing a list of people that you're praying for, like names. Like, hey, here's this coworker.
It's good.
And I want to pray for him so I can share the gospel with him. Or here's this like other person that I know through XYZ way. And even like keeping a prayer journal, like writing these people's names down and the day you start praying for them.
That's good.
Highly recommend to the audience finding people to pray with regularly.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
It's wonderful that in your workplace, you said you came to the realization that I live for more than just my 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
And even in your workplace, you guys are reading the Bible together. That's wonderful. I do have an idea of what kind of work you do, and I know it's demanding.
Yeah.
And I know what, working towards metrics is difficult. There's quotas, there's utilization, and I'm just like, I just want to ask you, like, how do you handle that? Knowing that you're living for more, but you also want to do well in your job, and you also have like metrics to hit. And, there's a natural progression of promotion, but like, how has the Lord been involved in that for you?
Yeah. So, I mean, if it's not obvious, I work in sales.
Mm-hmm.
And sales is demanding, and tech sales particularly. That's Austin is kind of known for being like a tech sales place.
Yeah.
I think a verse that I like wrote down at one point is, you might have to word check me on this, but it's, I don't remember the reference exactly, but it's whatever you do, do with all your heart, working as to the Lord and not to men. So I'm a firm believer that even like the way we do our job can be a testimony of like our faith, and even having the Spirit living in us and motivating and moving in us. Like a good number of my coworkers know that I'm a Christian, and like I like, so in a way I'm representing that. And I, if I were slacking off or complaining or being lazy, like that would not be a good representation. But in a way, like I think it's something to, I hesitate to use the word take pride in, but yeah, it can be, let's say it can be a testimony of working hard and being excellent and diligent at your job. The other thing to consider is like that's a performance-based role. And so working hard comes with like, pay increase. And I think once you kind of see, oh, God has a purpose, I'm living for that purpose, you kind of realize like, okay, all my effort during the day it's not just to like buy myself a bunch of stuff. It's so that I can, give to others and, take care of people and like make dinner to have people over or just whatever it might be. It's, like my money is in service of Christ.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that to like put myself on a pedestal. And
No.
it was like,
yeah,
I'm some super generous person. But I think just remembering what it's all for, is good.
Yeah, that's a big point. This matter of giving, especially we, in the U.S. we live in a very affluent country where it's the jobs and the pay are a big important thing. But for a Christian in their first job, how would you encourage someone who's facing this, their first job, maybe their first pay, and to handle that
Mm,
with the Lord.
Mhm.
yeah, that's a great question. Well, people have a lot of opinions on this,
Sure.
and the Bible has some things to say about it. And I don't want to just be like throwing a whole bunch of verses out of context at you, but um, the first one that comes to mind is the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil.
Mm.
And I think once you kind of make your way into the working world and like have a little bit more money on hand, and you start seeing maybe people around you who are starting to be really successful, that verse starts to become a little more real.
Mhm.
And I mean, I can just even say in my own testimony, like I see somebody on social media, like my age, who is just crushing it and like doing super well, like that little like jealousy or envy, you know, I was doing fine. I was happy. And then I saw that other person, and then this thought just comes in like, oh, like, why aren't I like that?
Mhm.
And it just stirs up things in us. And it makes us base our happiness on how we're doing compared to other people. And it's
Mhm.
just really like, that's not how God designed us.
Mhm.
So I think it's just good to remember, like, our happiness is not, you know, within reason. It's not tied to our paycheck. Like, obviously we have to provide for ourselves, and if we have a family, like, provide for that. But getting richer does not necessarily mean getting happier.
Mhm.
But I think the other thing I would consider is just like, the Lord gives and the Lord takes away, right? Like, even the fact that we have a job is sovereign of Him.
Mhm.
And tomorrow I could get a promotion and get a pay increase, or I could get laid off tomorrow. That's another big thing with working in tech. You never know when there's going to be a huge round of layoffs.
Mhm. Yeah.
So I could get laid off, or I could get a promotion. Like, you never know.
Mhm.
And it's all under the Lord's sovereignty. So I think it's really good just to have the practice of continually praying to give everything you have back to the Lord, and just remembering, like, the Lord allowed me to have this money. I'm really just taking care of it.
Mhm.
That's a good
And I think when you learn to have that attitude and hold everything you have more loosely, then, okay, somebody I know from my church community is in need, then I'm just like, okay, I'll help them out. It's not like this, oh, but like, can I fit this in my budget? Or you just realize, like, it's the Lord's money anyway. Like,
Mhm.
why would I not care for His people with it?
Mhm.
And the Bible does say some things about like tithing regularly, and some people will put like a certain amount on it. And I think it's good to like put that into your budget and kind of have a regular practice of tithing. But just like, don't be legal about it. Don't be strict about it. Like, if there's a need and you feel like the Lord is nudging you towards it, like, just be generous.
That's good. Some people say 10%, that's Old Testament,
Yeah.
we just, the Lord, whatever the Lord touches, whatever the Lord says, I like your testimony. We just give. Starting to give.
Mhm.
That's great, man. This has been an awesome conversation.
In your life, it seems you took a gap year after high school and after college.
Yeah.
Would you recommend that to other people? Like, was that time good for you to just recalibrate? What was that something that you would advise other people to do?
Yeah, for sure. So it was a full year after high school. I didn't do anything that great with it. I know other people like during high school gap years have gone and like really traveled, and or like started businesses or done something really interesting. Like, I didn't do anything too crazy, but you know what? Like, it was sovereign, because that's when I really like found my community in student ministry. So the Lord knew what I needed. And then after college, like, for sure. I mean, I get it. Like, sometimes you have to start paying off your loans as soon as possible, which was definitely on my mind.
Mhm.
Or maybe like, you might be in a relationship and you need to take care of that. But in my situation, I had the opportunity, and I'm so glad I did, because I feel that the Lord allowed me to see and experience and participate in so much that I wouldn't have been able to if I had just jumped straight into the workforce.
Mhm.
And like, to anyone, if you're graduating college and you have the opportunity, to go do something like that, I have zero regrets about it.
Mhm.
I don't think you would either.
And
Awesome.
I asked that because being a young man in today's world is kind of confusing. It's kind of scary. Responsibility comes quickly. We're actually going to have another episode where we bring on a brother to talk about taking care of young men. And you're a young guy. You just entered the workforce, and I'd hope you could give some of the young men in the audience some advice about being a young man with your life ahead of you. Often this age of like 20 to 30, it's like, I'm just gonna put my head down and grind and forget everything. That's how most of us think. But you've given so much insight. But do you have anything specifically for the young men out there that you would give them, or even something that you would tell your younger self?
Yeah, that's a great question. You're right. Like, it's hard to be a young man in today's world. It feels like there are so many different voices saying what you should and shouldn't be. And it feels like there's been a lot of feeling of like isolation by young men, maybe from like mainstream culture, and this feeling of they don't know how to fit in or what to do with themselves. And then if you're not fitting in with mainstream culture, then there are so many different voices, particularly on the internet, that are offering alternative stories of what your life can and should be. And most of them are not healthy. I heard someone say one time that there's this piece of graffiti in Austin that says, "Live a great story." And he said, actually, we should say, "Live the great story." And he said, so the question is, what story are you living? So there's so many different voices telling young men like what story they're going to be living in today's world. And I think you should just consider for yourself, like, what voices am I continually taking in? Like, honestly, especially on social media, what story am I living and what story do I want to be living?
Wow.
But as far as practical tips, find other young men that you can relate with and older men that you can open to.
That's really good.
And I think mental health is something that we're increasingly able to talk about. But don't be afraid to share what you're going through or struggle with other guys. And they may be struggling with something too. I think for a long time there's been this thought of just kind of keep it closed up and don't share your struggles, but it's not healthy just to keep it all in. I would say so, and that really ties in with having spiritual companions, like other guys to walk with the Lord with, because you can pray for each other. So maybe that's on the spiritual side. And I would say maybe just on the more practical side, like, give yourself challenges in life. Whether that's like finding service opportunities or even like physical challenges. Not to be that guy, but I'm running a marathon day after tomorrow. I'm going to try to run a marathon day after tomorrow. And training for that has been really, really good, because it's like I have this physical goal that I'm working towards. And it's something like outside of work that I can use as like a measure of time passing in my life. So, I mean, I know like martial arts and like jujitsu is really big right now for a lot of people, or if it's just like working out, or maybe you pick, hey, like this year I'm going to hike a 14er, and like working towards that goal, I think is really, really important, because guys need some kind of a struggle or a fight.
That's right.
And in today's world, like a lot of us, especially who work in tech, like, that we don't have very much of like a tangible challenge or a fight to fight. So you have to give yourself something external, especially if it's physical. That's really good.
That's really good.
Golden advice.
It's great.
You've talked a lot about getting with other young men, and you have your Bible study, you have people you pray with. I did wonder if you had a specific experience with like an older brother that's really helped you, and what that means, because you did mention that that's one thing that a young man could benefit from. I I wanted to know if you could share some of those experiences.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't even know where I would be if I didn't have a couple of the older brothers that I did in my life. And I mean, older brothers in Christ. I don't have any, physical older brothers. But I mean, when I came into college, I was really, I mean, I was really pursuing the Lord, but on the one hand, but also I was really like grappling with a lot of things in my faith. And I had a lot of questions.
Mm-hmm.
And there were some areas where I just was not sure what I believed.
Mm-hmm.
So there was this one older brother that I would meet up with regularly, and we would just get together, and I would just come like full of questions, and a lot of time we would just argue.
Mm-hmm.
And there would be times where, he would just like slam his Bible on the table, and you would hear like that echo through the whole room.
I remember seeing some of these Bible studies, by the way.
Yeah, you probably saw them. Because we would get kind of heated. But I needed someone like that, someone that I could really push and who was able to handle those questions.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing I'd say to young guys, like, don't be afraid to ask questions if you have some kind of a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, this older brother, he had a lot of patience for me. I would just sometimes ask the same questions over and over again, and we would just go around in circles.
Mm-hmm.
And that was mostly related to things about like the truth and like what do Christians believe. Yeah, finding someone that really like is not afraid to tackle your questions with you like is huge. The other example I can talk about, at one point I went through just a lot of issues with like anxiety and just different mental health stuff, and just a lot of like uncertainty about what path I should take in life and my future. And there was something that I was really, really just hung up on, and was trying to figure out what I was going to do about it. And there was another older brother that I knew through my church who is just wired super similarly to me, but he's like a little less than 10 years older.
Mm-hmm.
And he's passed through a lot of this already.
Mm-hmm.
And we would just have these long phone conversations where I would just be like unloading all these doubts and fears and everything. And he just had so much patience for me, and he was just able to help me walk through it. And I don't know how I would have made it through if I hadn't been able to talk to him and just hear from someone who had already walked that path, that it was going to be okay, it was going to work out, and who even saw it from the perspective of a Christian too, and wasn't just giving me secular advice, but was able to, talk about God's sovereignty. So yeah, I have benefited immensely from having like a trusted older figure. And yeah, especially I think young guys are especially in need of that, like in need of mentorship and leadership role models. Because we've got like I said, like we've got so many people telling us what story we should live.
Yeah,
right. That's right.
And we don't really know what to do with ourselves.
Yeah.
I think it's the struggle of today's generation. We don't know what to do with ourselves. And I think having someone that's a little bit gone before, who can even just give you a push in the right direction, is huge.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah. Us young bros, we need big bros.
Yes.
Yeah, any big bros.
Right. Someone you can ask anything to.
Mm-hmm.
Just openly, just not be afraid.
Yeah.
And that's really good. Hopefully we all have that.
Mm-hmm.
You know? If you don't have one, find someone.
Yeah.
Sometimes the fact that they're not related to you helps, just, that is, it's good, a big brother, but just someone in the community.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're nearing time. I
Mhm.
just wanted to ask you, Ian, is there anything that you wish we had asked you that we didn't ask, or anything in your heart that you just like to share? Whether something,
Anything you want to tell the audience?
yeah, and From
I mean, y'all did
anything.
great. I think we had an awesome conversation. Y'all hit me with a bunch of good questions. I mean, you've been podcasting for a little while now, so you're good at this. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to check if there was something in your heart, but so
Good.
totally fine. At the end of the episodes, we still do kind of rapid fire questions just to get to know Ian a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
So,
I have some.
okay, great.
Yeah.
I will go ahead.
I'm tempted to ask you to like sell me a pen because you're in sales, but we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that.
Create demand.
But I know you probably like live in the gym. What is the craziest diet you've ever done?
Oh my gosh.
Because I know you've done some. Yeah, I remember you're on this like gallon milk diet.
Oh, I don't think I ever actually did the Go Mad. Have you heard of that Go Mad gallon of milk a day?
No, tell me about it.
I didn't do it personally. I'm like kind of lactose intolerant. But some people will do gallon of milk a day. It's just like to put on weight really fast.
I thought you did it.
Really?
No.
Yeah.
On top of all your food, you're just a gallon of milk on top of everything. Wow.
Not me, but some people.
That's great.
Craziest diet I ever did. Oh my gosh. I think like I got really into working out in college, and like my sophomore year was probably when I was at my peak. So I just remember like I eat like little to no breakfast now just so I can keep a clear head and not crash in the morning. But oh my gosh, like sophomore year of college, I was cooking like 6 eggs, like half a pound of breakfast sausage, all these beans, and a protein shake. I was probably having like over 2,000 calories just for breakfast every single day. I would make a protein shake and like 2 huge breakfast burritos.
Yeah.
I was trying to do like a dedicated bulk to like put on 15 pounds, and you know, you're just like a 20-year-old guy and your metabolism is going so fast you can't even eat enough. I never got really into like strictly holding to like a keto or carnivore or anything like that. I was just that year in particular, or that semester, I was just trying to like eat as much as I could, and I would just have these like insane breakfasts.
Yeah.
This is another one. I kind of got into the you can make fun of me for this, but I kind of got into like the raw beef liver thing a few years ago.
Oh my gosh. Were you
That was
kind
kinda
of
going
like
on.
a Liver King?
What?
Were you influenced?
No, not Liver King, not Liver King. It was actually one of those guys that I was telling you about. Like one of my like mentor figures. He was into it, and he was telling me all about like the nutrition and like the science behind it. So I remember one time like he and I were both like volunteering at this camp thing, and he shows up with this little Tupperware of like frozen cubes of raw liver.
Oh my god.
And he was telling me how you can get like all these like B12 vitamins from it. So I don't know. I would kind of just believe anything as far as nutrition advice at that point in my life. So I like got this grass-fed beef liver, and I like cut it up in the freezer, and I would like pop it once or twice a week. It was so nasty in retrospect. So yeah, that was kind of what was going on as far as diet.
That's a good question though.
Tell us what is marathon training like?
So I'm thankful that where I work is right near the river trail in Austin. So usually like right after my work day, I'll just go over that trail. Or sometimes even if I'm doing a shorter run, I'll even go during lunch. And usually I'll do like 3 or 4 shorter runs throughout the week. And those might just be like a tempo run or an interval run or just a recovery run, and then 1 long run per week.
Yeah, that's right.
But because I've been having some like knee pain the last couple weeks, I haven't done a long run. So we'll see how I do. Longest run I've done is 18 miles.
Wow.
And my knee was hurting a good bit by the end of that. So I've just been icing it and putting ointment on it this week.
Wow.
And just gonna hope for the best.
Are you aiming for just to finish or for a certain time or just to
I mean,
finish?
getting like 4 hours and 15 would be great.
4:15.
But I think at this point, just because my knee, like finishing would be awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. When's the race?
It's a day after tomorrow.
It's on.
Whoa, it's
Yeah.
coming up.
Yeah.
Oh, my
Yeah.
goodness.
I know some guys that are gonna be.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
cool.
I could never, but
Yeah, it's kind of the thing to do in Austin. It's like a big running culture
That's
here.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
right.
we are like the run club city.
Yeah, it's the running
You
club city.
are. Yeah, you had to come to the Boston Marathon though.
I know. I hear it's big up there too.
It is really hard to make it in though, the Boston Marathon. But yeah, Yeah. I did a half marathon earlier last year.
You did?
Half, yeah.
Okay, not so bad yourself. I've never done a
but I
half.
barely
marathon.
made it.
Yeah.
No, I got under two.
Okay.
hours, yeah.
Hey,
I did
that's
okay.
that's pretty good.
Yeah,
It's
it
all right.
is,
It's all right. Yeah.
He's being modest.
Yeah, he's being modest. This guy.
Okay, I think if you haven't,
I think that's great. Yeah, I don't know. You have
I
another
have
one?
one more. Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
So, I love how you said that men should find a challenge for themselves, and it should be physical. I wonder if you have any mental like challenges or hobbies that you take on to just keep your mind sharp or to just release creativity or anything like that. Do you have
Yeah.
anything like that? Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of the time, like the default, especially for guys, in the way we spend our downtime is just like on a screen. So whether it's social media or YouTube or video games, I think if you can find something that's not just passive entertainment, it's really good just to kind of keep that mental acuity. So maybe playing an instrument. You know, I play the guitar and I'll play at my small group.
That's
and
good.
one of my roommates just got into playing the guitar and we'll play together sometime. I used to be really into drawing. I haven't done it as much recently, but
I saw you sketch a lot of stuff, huh? You like
Yeah.
you did some sketching.
I used to a lot
Yeah.
more. I'd like to pick it back up.
That's great.
Reading's great. And even, you know, whether it's fiction, nonfiction, but it can be even a big part of Christian pursuit. Like there's a lot of great Christian books out there. And journaling is really helpful just to kind of get your thoughts out of your head and onto paper. And you can even look back and track like over what you've journaled in the past and how that's
You see your progression.
you see your progression even like with the Lord.
Yeah. That's amazing.
So I mean, those are not anything super fancy, but those are some things
Bro,
I like to do.
You run and you're artistic. You're very Austin, bro. Like
Yeah, super awesome.
got the
Working
art.
tech. Yeah.
you work in tech and you
know.
run, man. You really
Yeah.
you're from Austin.
I
And you
know.
went to UT.
Dodged
And you
a
went
bullet.
to UT.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I feel so left out here. Nah. Just
Yeah.
kidding. It's great. Man, yeah, this has been awesome, bro. Thank you
Yeah.
for coming on again.
Sure. Thanks for having me
and
on.
sharing your story of the
It's
Lord.
been fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all a good time, guys.
Awesome. That's it for today. Hope you enjoyed this conversation. We surely did. And keep commenting, following, DMing, and if you like to hear something or from a guest, you can DM us and let us know what you'd like to hear. We'll see you next time.